Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing the technique Bowing to Buddha, its execution, some of the things that you should know about its execution and how to compensate for things that go wrong, and a little bit more about this technique in general. So let's talk about this technique from a historical standpoint. This technique was first demonstrated in 4. At some point it was extracted and a bunch of stuff was added to it to have what we call the ideal phase now of the entire technique. We're not going to be discussing that. We're going to be discussing the short version. We've discussed middle versions and longer versions. Now we're going to talk about a shorter version of this technique. So let's talk about how it starts. You are on your knees, either this way or this way, it doesn't matter. The form starts from this position. A more realistic position, maybe from here. You would say, how are you going to get to your knees? Maybe you're checking something, you pick something up. There could be a number of situations. This position, you're tying your shoe, somebody comes at you. What they're going to be doing is they're going to be doing a kick. So what he's going to come in, straight in, trying to kick you, okay? This will not work off of a roundhouse kick because you're going to be absorbing that technique direct on. We would use a different technique for a roundhouse kick. This is off of a straight kick. So what you're doing is something similar to what we do in a lot of other techniques. I want to move his attack off that line onto a new line. Now I'm doing it with my arm. My arm is not as strong as his leg. So if I'm going to try and do a direct block and stop him from kicking me, my arm will lose every time. So how do I compensate for that? So what I do is, I'm going to face you, that person can stay there, is I'm not trying to do this. What I'm going to do is start in this position, and then I'm going to use my hand as a pivot point and move and divert that kick off the line of attack towards my left rear flank. When we do inward blocks, standard inward block, we can block with 3 major sweet spots. Here, here, or here. This is called uppercase, this is called middle case, this is called lowercase. So in this situation, what we're going to be doing using our hand, we're going to start as if we're going to be doing a middle case, but then we're going to convert it into a lowercase in order to divert that weapon. This is what's called an anchoring inward block, or a lowercase inward block, depending on how you want to talk about it. But the essential idea is we're moving them off the line of attack while we're staying on the line of attack. So we've come to here. I'm going to show you how it works, and we're moving that out of the way. Let's do that one more time so you can see it. I'm moving him off the line of attack. So you can see, effectively, I'm not absorbing the blow, I'm deflecting the blow. At this point, I have some things to worry about. We have things that work tops, now we're on the bottom, so we have to worry about potentially a ground and pound here or a headbutt. So the next maneuver would be to close the distance and hit them with an elbow. Keep in mind, elongating circles turn things into offenses, contracting circles turn them into defenses. So in this case, if we want to hit them, we elongate that circle. If we want to turn this into a block, we contract that circle. So we then have to worry about the right hand. This hand is coming up to do the hit. If this is coming that way instead, I can do the rest of this technique without that and use this into a block. But then we have the third thing that we have to worry about, which is the head. I'm out at a distance where we're going face to face. If I close that distance and he begins to bend, he's now hitting the crown of my head. So I'm basically taking these 3 weapons out of, or controlling them in some way, shape, or form, so I don't have to worry them so much. So notice what I'm doing here with my leg. I'm controlling the gap between me and him, which is called gauging. So as the ideal phase goes, I want to elbow as I move in and then hit at the same time. The way to think about this is Prance of the Tiger. Prance of the Tiger, the hands are going in opposite directions, or reverse directions, depending upon how you want to talk about it. In this case, we're turning them over and we're doing this. So that's the way to think about this, how it's being executed. But they're not done at the same time. They're done as a vice instead of as a sandwich. So back to this position again. We close that gap, we elongate our circle, we get into the elbow, potentially into the solar plexus or sternum, depending upon what's happening with them. Or if they're beginning more to bend, we can then easily divert that to the face. It doesn't matter which way we have to go. Either way, from sternum up to the face is where you would potentially hit with this one. And you're hitting at the exact same time to the groin, then reversing that line and doing the compression. Now, at this point, you could continue into the middle and longer version of this technique, but we're not going to do that. You have a choice of where you want to go from here. What we're going to do is stick to this ideal phase, get up, cross out, and leave. So one more time, let's walk through it. I'll do it from the non-form position so that you can see it being done that way. We're going to walk through it one more time. So we step up, divert, close that gap, elongate that circle, contract it if we need to, hit or turn that into a parry if we need to, closing that gap to go to the head, either hit here or hit to the face, depending upon what we need. And then at the exact same time as we do that rotation, hit to the groin, reverse that line, do the compression, up and out. Okay, one more time, just so that you can see it being executed without an explanation. Up. Hope this video helps you. Thank you very much.